Hey guys, this is Ryan W. from Bearable Traders. I just wanted to do a video here for you guys just showcasing my platform, since I know a lot of you are probably pretty curious about what it is that I do exactly. As some of you know, I do trade the E-mini S&P 500. That's the market that I've been with for quite a while now, and it's just a market that I really seem to enjoy. So really quickly, I just want to, like I said, go over my platform here. So I'm using two platforms. So over here on the right, this is my TradeStation platform. I'm not going to see that with the black, but anyway, this is TradeStation. So I'm just using that for charting and charting exclusively. Really, all I use it for is to get my levels in the pre-market. I have the chart over here to my right just to kind of keep an eye on it, just to kind of see what's happening. But really, I don't look at it at all. My main focus is really over here on the Jigsaw platform, on the Auction Vista and the Dome, and I'll tell you more about that here. So this platform is called Jigsaw Day Trader, and as you can see, it's pretty interesting looking. So I'll start from left to right just to make things easy. So over here on the left, this is what's called the Auction Vista, and essentially what this is it's a 1-second tick chart, and it's a heat map as well. So what you'll see here is you'll see these different colors of gray at different levels, and that corresponds with the actual market depth on the Dome. So right here, it's kind of a little bit of a darker gray there, which corresponds to the 64 halves, like the 450, the 450 right there. So it just kind of gives you an idea of how many orders are sitting at each level. Let's change the color on this to make it easier to see. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so that just helps you see, kind of get an idea as to what how much depth is at each level. Now, I don't really look at it for that. I'm really looking at this Auction Vista chart as to see these dots here, as well as to see highs and lows, especially in consolidation areas. Really, these are just highs, tick ups. Or we have an uptick or a downtick, and it kind of stops there at that price. And I'll explain that more in another video, really how to read that. But I'm just trying to give you guys an idea as to what the hell it is I do. So these circles, what these represent are areas of absorption. And what that means is typically there's a bunch of large orders, or essentially really a market maker or an algorithm, whatever, are absorbing anybody buying and selling at that price. Typically, you'll see these appear at extremes of the day. So, for example, we shoot up and then we see a lot of absorption. That usually means that we may not continue higher. It means that somebody is absorbing the orders happening either to reverse it or to want to continue it higher and get it at a better price. But typically, what you're looking for is that somebody is not allowing price to move past that point. Sometimes you will see a quick little move down, but oftentimes it shoots right back up. And this just helps me to see if we are at an extreme at a certain price, especially if it corresponds with a daily level, for example. Then I know that we're probably going to reverse at that point, but it's not a reversal indicator. It really just kind of helps me visualize that there is a lot of auctioning activity happening. And you can also see it here on the Dome, and I'll show you that here in a second. So yeah, that's what those dots signify, blue and red, more buying versus selling, and you can click on it and it shows you, you're not going to see it on that screen. It'll show you the actual information of what happened at that point. Okay, so that's the Auction Vista. Like I said, it's kind of like a chart. It's a 1-second tick chart. I have volume down here that you can see. And then I also have a cumulative delta, which I don't really look at the cumulative delta. Cumulative delta, which is these lines here, essentially show the amount of buy market versus buy market orders versus sell market orders. So typically you'll see this going up, especially in an uptrend. That means we're getting more buy market orders. And then if it starts to flatten out or go down, then that means more people are selling into the market. They're not limit orders, they're market orders, and that's what moves the market. So this actually extends over to the left here onto my other monitor, so that's why it's kind of chopped off, so it goes a lot further over, but obviously for this recording, you're only going to see it on this section here. All right, so let's move on to the Dome. So I have 3 domes set up here. So right here on the left, this is the Dow, or the YM, okay? You can't really see that. This right here is the ES, which is the E-mini S&P, which is what I trade, and over here is the NQ, or the NASDAQ, okay? Now, why I have these three domes up for is because you need to see, you want to see the correlation between each market. So, for example, if the Dow is moving up and the NASDAQ is moving down, well, the ES is going to be stuck flat in the middle because they're actually, it's kind of happening right now. You're actually, you're not going to have everybody moving in lockstep with one another. So once you see these markets, all 3 of them start moving, moving in lockstep, all going down, for example, then you're in good shape, and you're going to likely see continuation in that move, which is what you're looking for. But typically, if they're out of sync with each other, then the ES is always usually stuck in the
Block
middle.
sell.
There are times where the ES will lead the Nasdaq and the Dow, but usually the Nasdaq and the Dow are the ones that lead the ES. Not always, but it does happen. Anyway, so enough about that. So what we're looking at here, and this is really the screen that I mostly spend my time staring at. This is where I spend all
Block
my
sell.
attention. You know, in my
Block sell.
periphery are where I'll see the Dow and the Nasdaq just to kind of get confirmation as to what's happening, if we're going to have a move or we're just going to be stuck sideways. So starting from left to right, this is the orders column. If I put an order out, and I'll do that for you here really quickly. If I put an order, you'll see, I'll just put it up here just so it's not in the way. Cursor's not working. Why is that? Hang on one second here. Sorry, I'm not used to this Epic Pen software, so you have to bear with me. All right, I'm not going to worry about it. So if I click on the dome, or if I want to go put an order out, I'll see it appear on the left-hand side here, and it actually shows me where I am in the queue, which is really helpful. I really want to see. Hang on one second here. There we go. Okay. Oh, you know why? I locked it. That's why. Duh. Okay, so here we go. So as you can see, I clicked on the 62 quarters just to put an order. I'm just going to give you guys an example of what it looks like. And as you can see, I've got a one lot sitting in the queue. I'm at number 425 in the queue. So if we trade down here, well, now I'm at 423 because they're pulling, well, they pulled some orders. So if we trade down here, I'll eventually get filled. I'm at 418 in the queue, so 400, now 416, so now 415 orders have to execute ahead of me before I get hit. Sometimes I get hit, sooner than that, but it just depends. But anyway, this is just the order columns. This is all I can do. I can just click and drag. I can move the orders around if I want to. I can
Order
right-click to cancel
cancelled.
the order. If I left-click it, I can change the quantity. I can change the stop volume, that sort of stuff. Okay, so there's
Order
that.
cancelled.
Let me go put my Epic Pen back on here. Do the pen tool. Okay. So that's the orders column, all right? So let me clear the screen. So over here, next to the orders column is just the price. Simple as that. It just shows the price. Nothing really to look at here, just the current price, okay? And then to the right of that, this column has a lot of information. So this is called the alerts column. Now, you can see in here, there's some information I typed in my pre-market prep, like where stops may end up being, looking at the 15-minute chart. There was a level there, 60-minute chart, etc. And that information is also visible over here on the Auction Vista chart. Now, because we're scrolled down a little bit here in the dome, you're not going to see the overnight high, but it's up here. So, so those are my notes. So whenever I want to type in a note, I put it into this box, and I'll show you that right here. Let me just turn this off. Let me just put this back on so I don't execute. Okay, so I can just put in resistance test, whatever. So, and it leaves the
Block
text in
die.
there, and it shows up on the Auction Vista chart as well. So that's part of what that column is used for. The other part of this column, you're going to see a histogram growing, and what that's showing is actually that's showing the amount of orders that are just kind of like what you see here on the Auction Vista. It also helps kind of show you the depth, but it's also showing orders that are being pulled or added, so you can see if they're stacking and adding orders. So for example, you see this blue line right here as it's slowly increasing. Oops. What that's showing is that they are adding more orders at that price level. So right here at 65 quarters, you can see they've been adding, and I would just tick down. So at 65s, they're adding. At 64.75s, they're adding. When it turns red, it means people are removing orders from that side of the book. So when they're adding orders, typically that's usually an indication that there may be some absorption, but it's also a hidden buyer or seller looking to either unload or add to their position. So you'll see that here, and price typically gets stuck there while the orders are processing. So that's what this column shows. It gives me my alerts where I can type in. And alerts kind of just seems ambiguous, but because it's not actually alerting you to anything, it's just a text column where you can type stuff in. But it also shows you the if you enable it, the amount of orders being the bids being added and pulled, or offers being added or pulled. That's what that column shows. And it's really, ironically, it's just really a visualization of this column here, because this column is the market snapshot column, and that's actually showing you how many orders are being pulled or added to at those levels. So for example, here you can see 200 orders were added at 65.75. We've got, it's ticking around, it's kind of moving kind of quickly. But you can see here, the minus shows that they're pulling orders, and if it's numbers increasing, that means that they're adding orders at that price. So once again, it's just information we look at, and I'll explain that more in detail in another video. Moving over to the right here, this is the volume profile column in orange here, and what this is showing you is the total amount of orders that have gone through at that price level. So as you can see, at the 66.75s, we've got 30 moves. I'll show you. Well, anyway, you get the idea.
Block sell.
30,593, 30,703, etc. contracts in total. That's including the bid and the ask. So it's the total amount of contracts that are trading at that price. And people, you can clear this out if you want to start fresh, like if at the beginning of the session, because I leave this open from the overnight for the Globex data. You can clear this out just to kind of show you what it's like, what's happening during the regular trading hours. But you don't have to. This just gives you an idea of how many orders have transacted. Now, there's a lot of information that you can glean from this. Once again, another video. This helps to show you where there's value, how much auctioning has occurred at these different prices. So if we're in an area of value, which we kind of are right here, actually, you can see. Let me clear the screen so it's easier for you guys. We're kind of stuck here. So I wouldn't expect too much. We're probably going to rotate up and down through the zone here, from the high and the low, because especially on a Friday afternoon, it's going to slow down. But this is where price has been accepted. This is where value is seen by the bigger market participants. So that's why we're seeing these larger bars, and we're not really going to see much action through here, unless a news event comes out or it decides to finally break out and move out.
Block
Once
buy.
again, video for another discussion. Okay. So what also happens in this column is you're seeing it here. It's flashing in white. It's mostly white, and then as we tick up or down, it flashes blue and red. This is showing you the current trades that are going off, and this is extremely helpful information because what this helps me see is the velocity or the speed at which the orders are moving. So, for example, like we're ticking up and down here. If we're getting a lot of big buys going off and we're trying to tick up, but we can't because someone's absorbing, well, chances are we're not going to get through there unless somebody big really comes in and takes this guy out. So we may rotate down a few ticks and then try again. And what's also helpful too is it's showing you the size of the orders. Like 116 just went off, 9 went off on the ask. Let's see what happens here. 11 went off there on the ask. 12, it's slowly going up. But that's showing you the total amount of contracts that are going off at that price. So you can kind of see how fast we're moving. So if we're suddenly seeing a bunch of contracts going off, we're going off, and we're seeing big size hitting in, and it's just moving up, and it's just going blue, going red the whole time. Obviously, it's a strong move to the upside. People are buying, they're pushing it higher. So this is probably one of the most important pieces of information that I stare at while I'm trading, because really it helps me to gauge how fast, how quickly are we moving. Are we going to break out, or are we just going to kind of hit our heads against the wall and retrace a little bit, then break up again? There's a lot of information. Once again, a video for another time, but just kind of gives you an idea as to what's happening. So that gives you your velocity. That's your current trade. Okay, moving along, this is your bid column. This just shows you the orders that are resting on the bid. Obviously, these are all limit orders. You can see the larger orders here. They're highlighted. And it changes, the histogram increases or decreases based on the amount of orders at that level. So it's helpful to see if they're adding to the bid. If we're rotating down, orders are going off on the bid, people are selling, but they keep reloading or adding onto that bid, then chances are, unless somebody really big comes in and flushes, you may see a slight move off of that before they continue to possibly sell it back down again. So that's the big column. Just like any other depth of market, same information you get there. Just shows you the amount of resting limit orders that are out there. So what's really cool about Jigsaw is you have what's called the inside trades column, and that's what this column is here. And this is essentially your time and sales. Now you'll see I have a time and sales down here as well. This is a filtered time and sales, and it also shows me the block trade.
Block
So I have it
buy.
set, and you can probably, I don't know if you can hear it, just said block buy. So 202 orders, contract just went off in a block trade at 68 there, which you can probably see happening right there. So this is just a filter time and sales. It just shows me any contracts over 50 in size, and then it alerts me with an audible tone, block buy or block sell, when it's over 150 contracts going off there. So going back to the inside here, so what's nice about this column is this is actually showing you the market orders, well, your time and sales essentially, but your orders as they're going off on the ask or on the bid. So as you can see, we're ticking up, 270. Now it's 276. So 6 lots went off. We ticked down. So it's accumulation of how many your orders going off. So obviously when your a large order comes through, you'll see it. This number will increase substantially. And what's cool is right here, as you can see, this 1500, 1467 by 1479. That's an area of absorption. So somebody was absorbing right there, meaning that they didn't want price to go above or below that area because they're either unloading or loading up their position. So we can expect to see some sort of movement or reaction based off of this. So this is an area of absorption. So that's what's really helpful to see, on the inside trades, giving you letting you know what's happening. How big are we hitting into the bid versus how big are we going to the ask? Are we easily ticking up versus ticking down, and of course the size. So this is really your time in sale. I usually have to the side sitting over here, and I have to kind of look over. This is all right in line of sight of what you're looking. So this is obviously the bid. This is the ask. You get that. This is the ask side. Your resting limit orders on the ask, just like on the bid, just showing you who's sitting above, willing to sell at what prices and what's being offered. Obviously, these numbers change. People pull, they add. So you just kind of use it as a reference. And like I said, you can look at it to see if someone's really adding to their offer. But if buyers are really aggressively hitting into it, then you can expect a potential move to the upside if they continue. If the seller is just too strong, has too much inventory to unload, then you're going to see a pullback. But like I said, video, topic for another video. And then over here, finally, these last two columns on the right, these are the bid-ask profile, on the bid-ask profile. So what this does is this actually separates what you see here. This is the total profile, the total volume transacted at each price. This separates or breaks out the bid and the ask. And this is really, really helpful to see how much how much is hitting into the offer versus it hitting into the bid. If we're getting a lot of people hitting into the offer, and that number is just going up, and then we get minimal hits into the bid, and it kind of falls back a few ticks, and they come back in, they really aggressively hit into the offer, the buyers, then you're going to see likely see a move to the upside. So this really helps helps break out buyers versus sellers at that price. So you can kind of get an idea. Okay, there was a lot more buyers at that price, and we didn't move higher. Somebody's absorbing. There's a lot of selling at that price, but we didn't move down. Someone's absorbing. Not a lot of selling, pulling down. It's a low volume pullback. It may end up pushing back higher. We have to see. Once again, very detailed information. Topic for another video, but just kind of gives you an idea of what to look for. So this black line here, this is called the center line. And as you can see, it's lined up on all three domes. So I can see, if the Nasdaq and the Dow are, starting to move up or move down, and they cross that center line, we can expect the ES to kind of follow suit. Like I said, unless there's divergence where the Dow is down, the Nasdaq's up, but then the ES will be stuck in the middle. But this just kind of helps to see where we are relative to the other markets, and just kind of helps give you a visual gauge, of where you are on the dome. Okay, so that's that. This little meter up here, it's like a little gas fuel gauge, whatever. That's called a pace of tape meter. And what that shows is it has three different green, yellow, red. That just goes to show you the amount of velocity, the amount of volume running through the market at that time. How fast are these contracts racing through the market? So you'll see there's some numbers here from today so far. It calculates the average over the day. I think we had the highest was 1,188 contracts was the max. And that was earlier today. There was a news event, and the market just shot up. So this just kind of helps give you an idea. If we're in the green right now, it's most likely a low volume time. And of course, right now it's 11:30 on Friday, on a 3-day weekend on a Friday. So it's gonna, market's gonna be kind of slow. So if you're getting minimal, movements in that gauge, and you're kind of in the green, well then chances are the markets are not going to be doing much. And as you can see, we're kind of stuck in this little bit of a choppy consolidation right here. Nice range you can probably fade here, but once again, that's a topic for another discussion. So that just kind of helps give you a visual idea of how fast is the market moving. Obviously, when you're looking at the dome, you'll see it'll just start racing up and moving around like crazy and large orders going through. But just another confirmation tool to help use. Down here is just an alerts window. This just tells me, and you probably saw it move during this video. Whenever there's a block order, it just kind of alerts me to that, along with the audible tone that I can hear. This is a trade bar right here. I mostly use my hotkeys. I have a little hotkey pad, which I have a video of, I think, on the forum. But this allows you to, if you're so inclined to click around instead of using a hotkey, you can do that from here. It's grayed out at the moment because I turned off my order entry just because the shortcut keys that I use for the EpiPen are very similar to the shortcut keys that are programmed for the dome here, so I don't want to accidentally take a position for no reason. And then down here on the right just shows me my orders, open orders, closed orders, cancel, etc. Yeah, and then I already explained this. This is my trade station. This is just some basic charts. I've got a 15-minute here, I've got a 2-minute here, and a 5-minute down here. And really, I do not look at these at all while I'm trading. My focus is 110% on here. And I'll look over here to kind of see where we are in relation to previous movements in the market, or previous price action movements. So this, the chart is like I said, is really just used for historical information, and I truly just use it to get my levels. I've got some indicators on here that show me the overnight high, the overnight low. That's what the orange is. What the blue is the high. The overnight low is the orange. I've got a couple moving averages, which once again I don't even look at, don't care about. And then what I look for are these swing highs and swing lows. So you'll see these lines coming off with numbers above them. Those just show that there are multiple taps at a particular price. Sometimes just a single tap, like right here. So that gives me an idea that we couldn't break through that price level, so it's most likely going to be an important level. You know, on the intraday time frame, the lower time
Block
frames, they're
sell.
helpful to see, but I really like the daily high, the dailies, the weekly, and the monthly. Those are the really higher time frame levels that a lot of the big boys really look at. So, for the intraday time frame, these are fine. I make note of them in my dome, as you can see here. You can see we had some action around here. And, sometimes I'll use them as price targets, really, because I'm so focused on the current price action. You know, my targets are usually on the extremes of the ranges, in the volume profile ranges, or if we're near an overnight high or low or daily level or something major, then I'll use that as a potential target or entry point. But really, it all depends on what the market's doing and what the dome and the order flow are telling me. Um, yeah, so that's really about it. You'll see some different colors here in the volume profile. This lighter orange is the volume point of control for the day, which is the highest point of volume. That was, the highest amount of
Block sell.
contracts traded at that price for the entire session. And this also includes some of the overnight data, so it's going to be a little off. The current volume profile is probably going to be up here somewhere. But in any event, this is actually probably up here around the 70s. Anyway, this is just, like I said, just shows you visually what the current volume point of control is, and then
Block
the
sell.
VWAP. We're kind of far away from VWAP, as you can see on the chart, like down here in the 60s. The VWAP is, let me just turn this off so I can go back to my cursor. Here we go. The VWAP is usually a light green, but I don't even, you can't even see it on here because there was no volume really transacted there, so it's not even going to show up. Yeah, so that's really about it. That's the nuts and bolts of it. I just have a little clock up here that just kind of helps me. I just so I can see the seconds, date and time. Then I have the CME, which is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. That's the time in Chicago. That's where the exchange is for the futures market. So I just kind of look at that as a reference. Don't really mind it much, but that's really about it for what I look at. This is my platform. There's a million ways you can configure this platform. It has a million different options, a lot of great functionality. But if you're a real serious order flow trader, dome trader, tape reader, this is the way to go. Obviously, it's designed for the futures markets. I tried fiddling around with it for the equities markets, but it's not designed for that. There are people who say they can make it work. I fought with it and I just said the hell with it. I'd rather focus on the ES anyway. So it's really designed for futures trading, and it's incredible. The information you glean from this really helps give you the upper hand and the edge that we're all looking for as traders, to to become successful. Reading a chart is great, and don't get me wrong, I still use technical analysis. I look at the charts every morning. I mark out my levels. But truly, my focus and my attention during the market open and during trading hours is on the dome. I'm just looking at what's happening here in real time because this will tell me: are we going to break out? Are we going to retrace? Are we going to pull back on a low volume? Is it a low volume pullback to then push it back higher? This tells me what's happening and what's likely to happen next. Whereas the chart, gives you historical information and of course the important levels.
Block
But
buy.
in the heat of the moment, you're not going to know from the chart if buyers are really hitting in aggressively and this thing's going to explode, or if someone's absorbing on the offer and it's not going to go any higher and the buyers start to run out. Anyway, topic for another video. I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of what it is I do. So if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email, Ryan@Bearable Traders. We'd be more than happy to
Block
answer them.
buy.
I do plan on doing more videos, about my trading style and what it is I'm doing, but you have to understand I'm also fairly new at this myself, and I'm still learning the processes as I go along.
Block buy.
But definitely be more than happy to share that information with you guys. So definitely feel free to shoot me an email, ask me any questions, and
Block sell.
I wish you guys all the best of luck in trading, and I'm sure I'll speak with you soon.